Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Funny Motor Man has a special guest today. His name's Valentino Rossi. He's gonna help us with installing the new exhaust. I finally decided to get a new exhaust. I said I was gonna keep it stock, but I guess we change. I'm finally gonna get some noise out of this bike. So let's unbox it and see what comes in the box. Yep, I went with the Akrapovic exhaust. I looked at the Yoshimura, I looked at the SC Project one and the Akrapovic, and I wanted to try to stay the stock looking, but I ended up going with the Akrapovic. One for price. I didn't want too loud of an exhaust with the SC Project. I wanted it to just have a nice deep tone, and I was trying to get the Yoshi, but I could not order it anywhere. It was sold out, and the distributor couldn't get it in time, so I just picked the Akrapovic, and I've had it before on my Jigster 1000, and I love the sound of it, so what can go wrong with it? Now let's unbox it and see what comes in it. So just in case you're thinking about ordering an exhaust and you don't know which one to go with, well, I'll show you everything that comes with this. And maybe you'll either go with the Akrapovic or go with a different kind, but at least you'll see what the Akrapovic looks like on the bike and everything that comes with it. So you get the instructions in every known language, it looks like, and then we get the English version. I mean, they're pretty simple to install, so I mean, if you really want to read it, then definitely by all means. But it's a pretty straightforward exhaust install. It's not too hard of a job. And you get the screw pack, and then we get the bracket to hold it. You get the pipe to connect it to the cat. The big ass pipe. Here's the beautiful exhaust. I'll open it in a second. Let's see what else. What? They didn't give any decals. What the hell? That's a Jip. No decals. They usually give you decals. So you get a manufacturer's warranty. Now let's open this up. I already cut it open to look at it. It says don't use a knife. Look how pretty that thing is. What is this? It's got a sticker on it. This product does not meet emission compliance requirements for street or highway use. Whatever, it's still gonna work. So if you could see in there, it's got the silencer. So I'll install it, and then I'll turn it on with the silencer on, and then with the silencer off. And here's a little rubber cover, and there's usually an Allen wrench screw. I don't know if you can see in there, but this one looks like it's a nut. All right, so I'll keep it installed until it's time. I won't end up losing the cover. Yeah, look how pretty that looks. I love the way they look. But yeah, we're gonna have to clean it before we turn it on, so that the oils from our hands doesn't stay permanently on. So that way I'm not cleaning it and redoing it. But I like the way this sounds, a Akrapovic exhaust make. I always wanted it on I had a 15R1, but ugh, that exhaust is just so ugly. For the 15R1. Be careful not to cut your exhaust pipe. This is what the pipe looks like. All out of the box. So this is this end over here that's got the slits. That's the one that goes to the catalytic converter. And this is the end where the muffler goes in. Then we gotta look at all the hardware we have. All the usual screws and I even have Akrapovic on the springs to install it. All right, now let's get started. All right, so for this part, we're gonna start on the left-hand side of the motorcycle where the shifter is. We're gonna take this front cover. Okay, we're gonna take this front cover off so that we can access the clamp that's on the catalytic converter. Save all this hardware, so in case you ever want to put the stock exhaust back on. Catalytic converter has a rubber piece. All right, so when you take the silver flap off of this side, you have a 10mm bolt right here that we're going to be taking out. And we don't have to take the O2 sensor off because the cat's not coming off. So this will loosen the exhaust. So we got that clamp all loose. So this is the clamp that we just took off, and you gotta save all this for in case you ever want to put it back together the stock form, which whoever does that, but you never know. So now we're going to take the two bolts that are going to release the exhaust. And let's see. These are both 12mm. So you're going to need a wrench on the back to hold the nut and start loosening. It's a lot easier when you have power tools. So we'll take this whole bracket out. And this is the second one. Let's see if there is. And of course there is a wrench right there. See how we're gonna do that one. See how the whole exhaust came down? Yeah, look how massive this exhaust is. Oh my lord. That weighs a lot. Oh my god. I don't even know what it weighs, but whew. And this is the little rubber stopper that comes off. That's the thing that held the exhaust in this place, but my lord, this thing is crazy heavy. Probably like 20 pounds, I'd say. So now we're going to install the link pipe, and we're not going to tighten anything until everything's lined up. So we're just going to slide the link pipe in right now. Easy. All right, so we're just going to put this here. Line it up for now because we're first going to do the bolts on the other side. For where we took out the first bolt, the two spacers we took out, these will save. And then for this one, the two spacers will stay on because the exhaust goes through the back. So now we're going to start installing the new And this is why you don't tighten anything down until everything's in place. So it's the washer and the bolt, and then on the back you have the big washer, then the small washer, and then the bolt. And for this we're gonna need a 13mm wrench on the back. And this we will hand tighten instead of using the power tool. All right, so let's get our 13mm wrench back here. And we're using a T40 Torx adapter. And I call for 22 Newton meters or 18 foot-pounds of torque for that screw. We're gonna install the plate up here. For the peg right here, we're gonna take the clip on and the bolt is gonna come out. And we're gonna replace it with this bolt, and this bracket is gonna go right there. All right. Now we just get a small screwdriver and pull the clip out. All right, just pull the pin out. And we're gonna save this for in case we need in the future. Now we're gonna install bolt all the way through. All right, so we got the bolt, a washer. Now we're gonna add another washer, and the nut, and the bracket. All right, so bracket, washer, and the nut. And we're gonna tighten it down. We're calling for 14 Newton meters. So, I guess that's what we gotta go by, right? All right, so that's all installed. Like I said, the bolt, the washer, the bracket, and there's a washer and a nut. Now we're gonna get the exhaust and start fitting it on. All right, so now we're gonna slide the new exhaust on. Gonna play with the silencer on once it's installed, and then with the silencer off. Okay, so now we're gonna install the bracket that holds it and screw it down. So the carbon fiber plates are going to go behind it. The screw is going to go through the front, and the washer and nut through the back. All right, let's get this installed. So this is where we're going to start tightening in a second, but first we're going to put the springs on. That's what it'll look like, guys. So now we're going to tighten everything down and put the springs right where they have to go. Hopefully you have a spring puller. Makes the job a lot easier. If you don't, it's a real bitch to get these springs in. I used to just use like a pair of pliers and pull it, but spring pullers make it a lot easier, the job. There, the springs are all installed. Now let's tighten everything down. Then we gotta clean the exhaust pipe of any of our oils on it. Now we'll screw the last one in. All right, so everything is screwed down. Now we're gonna go take it out of the garage and turn it on so you hear what it sounds like. with the silencer. Yeah, the only thing I'm not a fan of is this big space that it leaves under there. It just looks so empty. I'm gonna see if I could get like a bracket made up so it fits in there. Just like I had on my R1 with the Austin Racing Day, you sold a bracket for the bottom. I'm gonna see if I can get a custom one made. But it looks beautiful and it sounds awesome. I did hate changing it from the factory look, but I think it's gonna look good and it sounds awesome. This is before I got to the Triumph dealership to get the upgraded software and to get it flashed so that it runs a lot better. It sounds really good, but here I don't have the silencer on, and I love this way it sounds, but once we put the silencer on, it ran a little bit better, and then getting the adaptation done and the flashing and the upgrade, it ran way better. I know it sounds really good in this clip that I'm sharing right now, but it just was running really lean. It was like really not backfiring. It was bogging down every time I'd pull the throttle. So I mean, I do love the way it sounds without the dB killer, but with the dB killer and everything done to it, it just runs a little bit better. And you'll see it in the next clip. This is me leaving the Triumph dealership after I got it flashed and upgraded. Now we're gonna see what it's like once we get on the highway, but it sounds pretty cool. Yeah, this is me jumping on the highway after it got flashed and the adaptation done and the software upgrade. It feels like a completely different beast. I love it now. Alright, so talking about the Akrapovic exhaust on the street, one thing I definitely found out is if you install it and ride it without doing the adaptation, it was really bad. It was bogging down on every gear when you went to take off, or even shifting gears. The low end power was completely gone. So I ended up calling the Triumph dealer, doing some research online because I have the Tune ECU software. I didn't want to mess with that because I didn't want to mess up my ECU. So I finally talked to my mechanic friend at the Triumph dealership. They told me that there was an update for the bike. There's a flash that they have, and they did the adaptation. So once all that got done, I installed the silencer because the exhaust is crazy loud without it. It's worse than my Austin Racing exhaust when I had on my R1. And that was decatted, so this was crazy loud. The silencer was put on, and they did all the adaptation and the flashing and the update, and the bike is running better than ever now. So I mean, you really don't need to buy a power commander or a fuel mapping. If you would get this exhaust, or even a Yoshimura or whatever kind of slip-on you get, definitely take it to your Triumph dealer and just have them flash it instead of messing around with the Tune ECU. I mean, it's up to you if you know how to do it, but I definitely didn't want to mess with that and blow up my ECU or mess it up pretty bad. wasn't about to spend like $600 or $700 on a new ECU. But now the bike runs really, really smooth. It's got crazy power on the low end and in the mid range. I still haven't really pushed on the top end, but I definitely was riding on the highway, and as soon as I would pull the throttle, that thing was flying. It felt like a 1 liter bike. And with me losing 19 pounds and saving another 9.1 pounds on the bike, I think the bike's getting a little bit faster. It feels really awesome now that it's all updated. It's one of my favorites, and I love the sound of the exhaust with the silencer, because without it, it was just way too loud for me. So hopefully I help you guys decide, and in case you're doing a upgrade to your bike, and definitely do it, but definitely get the flashing and the adaptation done. It's a lifesaver, and it completely changes the way your bike rides. I love it now. It's hands down one of my favorite bikes of all the bikes I've ever owned. I love riding it now, and that nice Akrapovic sound is awesome. All right, so hopefully this helps you out, and if you have any comments or any questions, just leave them in the comment section. All right, take care, guys.